In this tutorial, I will show you how to use ngIf, then and else into our Angular application. And first, we have to give a heading or title into our application. So h1, and then welcome to, then the title, and here we have to declare the title. Title is equal to, and when we show our browser, and when we show our browser, so it will show us the title, and ends, then we uh, write a div tag. So we first, so I create a div tag, and under the div tag I write a line. I write also another line, channel. So I first write under the div tag two line. First, welcome to my channel, and then please subscribe my channel. Suppose, and when we go to the our browser, here we see that these two line is shown to our application. Suppose, then I create two radio button into our application. So I create two radio button. First, I give it as name show block, and I give the another name as hide block. And if we go to the browser, we see that the two button, show block and hide block, radio button is show to our web page. Now if I want to hide this div tag by clicking show block and hide block. Suppose when we click show block, so it will show me this div division, these two paragraph. And when we hide block, choose hide block, this will hide from our web page. So to implement this, first we go to our Visual Studio Code. We click, uh, we write two function. So I write two function. One is show block. So when we click this radio button, so this value will go to the this function, and we have to define this function into the app component.ts. So we go to app component.ts, and here we have to define this function. So here we define this function show block, and under this block, and so when we uh, click the first radio button, so its value will be, so when you first click this but button, then this function will be called, and the true value will be sent to this function. And here we initialize a variable called block, and we set it value, first we set it value as false, and when we, and after calling the function, this value will become true. Here we send the value true, and it will come to this variable check, and this block value will then become true. And we hide block a, we set the value as false. Then I uh, give this div block a condition, a ngIf condition. Suppose at first I don't want the user to show this block, so I first hide this block, And first we initialize the block variable as false. So at first star ngIf is equal to false, so this block will not display to us. So if we go to the browser, so here we see that the block will is not uh, visible. And when we click this radio button 1 show block, then we see that the block is come. It is because uh, the value when we click this, so the true value will go to this function, and here under check it value will true. So this dot block is initialized to as true, so the block value become true. That's why when we click this, so we see the div block. And when we click hide block, so we see that the div block is not visible to us. It is also the same process when we click this button hide block, click the this radio as check this radio button, then the we call this show block function, and here we pass the value false. So here the show block the check value become false. So when we and then we initialize this dot block is equal to check, and check value is false, so this dot block is equal to false. And so the div block is become hide to us. And again when we click so, this will shown to us. Now I will show you how to implement ngIf and ngElse into our application. So first I delete this and I write you are under block 1, and I create another div, and here write you are under block 2, and I change this name uh, block 1, and I write it as block 2. So when we check this, then uh, block 1 this block will execute it. So when we click this, then control goes to this block, and it will show you are under block 1. And else we, if we don't want to show it, then we transfer the control to another block, say else block. So we write else block 2, and we have to uh, uh, we take this deep tag under this ng template and give it as block 2 is the id. So at first we see that our block variable is in false. So at the first time when we refresh the browser, then we see that this block become false and this ngIf condition does not satisfy. So it will goes to block 2. So it will come to this block, this deep tag, and it will first show you are under block 2. So when we go to the browser and when we refresh it, we see that you are under block 2. And when we click this block 1, you are under block 1. When you click block 2, you are under block 2. So that's why. So when we click this block 1, so this true value will send to the function and it will be block become true, and that's why the ng if satisfied and you it show us you are under block 1. So this is how the ng if and ng else is work in Angular. Now we see if we take this part into a template and if we separate this div, then we have to use the then. So suppose I uh, suppose we separate this block ng template, and suppose I give a suppose I want to suppose we separate this you are under block 1 this paragraph into a template, and you are under block 2 in another template, and we close this div. Then at this case, so we close this. So at this case we have to use the then block. So we write star ngIf is equal to block, then block 1, and we have to use here the id block 1. So when we refresh our browser, so at first it will show you are under block 2, and when we click block 1, so we see that you are under block 1 is shown to us. When we click block 2, it will block 2, when you block 1, it will block 1. So when at first the block variable become false, so that's why its ngIf condition is false and it will goes to block 2 and it show us you are under block 2, and when you click check this true, then true will this go to this, and this dot block become true. So block variable value become true and ngIf true, then block 1 will execute. So that's why we see you are under block 1. So this is how we use ng, if, else and then into our Angular application.